still advancing on schedule. They're maintaining quantum sync with the observation network, exactly as predicted. They have no idea they're flying right into our trap. The collected ships moved with absolute confidence, their commanders certain of an easy victory. Their sensors showed exactly what they expected to see, a primitive civilization tearing itself apart, ripe for harvest. The complex quantum signatures of Earth's true defenses were invisible to them, hidden using their own technology. In the Antarctic facility, Dr. Santos monitored the final preparations. The quantum field manipulation is stable, she reported. When they try to activate their harvest protocols, they're going to get quite a surprise. Maya allowed herself a grim smile. They spent centuries watching us, learning our weaknesses, planning how to exploit them. But they never understood what they were really seeing. The Harvest fleet entered the outer solar system, their massive ships distorting space-time around them. Overseer Xal prepared to broadcast the traditional harvest announcement, the moment when the collective revealed itself to its chosen prey, demonstrating power beyond resistance. But in Earth's quantum defense network, something unprecedented was taking shape. The very fabric of space-time that the collective had manipulated for so long was being rewoven, turned into a weapon they would never see coming. They thought our conflicts made us weak, Maya told her team. They saw our competition and constant adaptation as primitive chaos. They never realized these were the very traits that would let us defeat them. The quantum web pulsed with contained energy, waiting to be unleashed. Humanity had taken the collective's own surveillance technology and transformed it into something new, a defense system that would turn their greatest strength into a catastrophic vulnerability. As the Harvest fleet approached Mars orbit, Overseer Xal prepared to demonstrate the collective's overwhelming power. But for the first time in their long history of conquest, the hunters were about to become the hunted. The trap was set. Project Echo was ready. And humanity was about to show the galaxy that underestimating Earth was the last mistake the collective would ever make. The Harvest fleet crossed Mars orbit with the practiced precision of apex predators. On the command ship, Overseer Xal prepared to initiate standard harvesting protocols. Thousands of successful operations had made this moment routine, reveal overwhelming force, disable planetary defenses, and begin systematic resource extraction. Initiate phase shift synchronization, Tal commanded. Prepare to activate the planetary containment field. But in Earth's quantum defense network, humanity was ready. They're linking with the observation network, Maya announced in the Undersea Command Center. All ships are now connected to our compromised quantum web. She paused, allowing herself a moment of fierce satisfaction. Initiate Project Echo. Across the solar system, reality itself seemed to shudder. The collective's observation posts, their silent watchers for centuries, suddenly pulsed with new energy. Each station became a quantum anchor point, creating a complex web of manipulated spacetime that encompassed their entire fleet. On the command ship, Xal's first indication that something was wrong came when their phase shift generators began to fluctuate. Report, he demanded. Quantum field disturbance, his science officer responded, mandibles clicking in confusion. The observation network it's not responding correctly. In that moment, humanity revealed its true capabilities. The quantum web that had been the collective's window into Earth became a trap, using their own technology to create a devastating feedback loop. Each ship's phase shift generators began to work against each other, creating cascading failures throughout the fleet. Impossible, Sal whispered as his tactical display showed their carefully maintained quantum synchronization collapsing. They're primitives. They couldn't possibly. Maya's voice cut through their communications network, broadcast using their own quantum protocols. You watched us for centuries, thinking you understood what you were seeing. You saw our conflicts and thought us weak. You saw our diversity and thought us divided. You saw our constant adaptation and thought us unstable. The Harvest fleet's massive ships began to lose their phase shift protection, becoming fully visible in normal spacetime. Without their quantum technology, they were suddenly vulnerable to the weapons humanity had carefully hidden throughout the solar system. The silent threat. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at her observatory window, watching the stars with different eyes than she had just 6 months ago. The truth about those distant points of light had changed everything. Humanity wasn't alone, and worse, they were being hunted. Another signature, Doctor, her assistant Marcus called from the monitoring station. Same pattern as before, just outside Jupiter's orbit. Sarah moved to the holographic display, studying the quantum distortion readings. The Arcturians weren't even trying to hide anymore. Their massive ships, each larger than Earth's largest city, had been moving steadily closer to Earth for months. Their arrogance was evident in their complete disregard for stealth. They still think we can't detect them. Sarah mused, zooming in on the energy signature. The aliens' quantum cloaking technology was impressive, but it had one fatal flaw. It created minute ripples in space-time that her team had learned to detect. A discovery the Arcturians clearly believed impossible for primitive humans. The Joint Defense Council meeting later that day was tense. Representatives from Earth's major powers gathered in the underground facility beneath Geneva, their faces grim as Sarah presented her latest findings. They're positioning for a full invasion, she explained, highlighting the movement patterns of the alien fleet. Based on their communications we've intercepted, they view us as little more than savages. Primitive beings who've barely mastered basic spaceflight. General Zhang of the Asian Alliance leaned forward. And this arrogance. We can use it. Sarah nodded, allowing herself a small smile. They have no idea we've been watching them for the past 3 years. No idea we've already reversed engineered aspects of their technology from their probe we captured. They think they're studying primitive animals, but we've been studying them right back. The room fell silent as Director Williams of the North American Union activated a secure hologram. Above the table, a complex schematic appeared. Project Oracle. Sarah had helped design it, but even she was amazed at how quickly it had progressed. The Arcturians believe their quantum shielding technology is millions of years beyond our capability to understand, Williams said. They're half right. We couldn't have developed it ourselves in 1,000 years. But thanks to Dr. Chen's team, we didn't have to. We just had to understand how to break it. The schematic zoomed in on a critical component, a quantum resonance inverter that could turn the aliens' own shielding technology against them. Earth had spent the last 2 years building a network of these devices, disguised as ordinary satellites and space debris. How sure are we that this will work? Asked the European Union's Chancellor Weber. If we reveal we've been preparing and this fails, we've tested it against their probed shields, Sarah replied. The results were definitive. Their quantum shielding technology is incredibly advanced, but it's based on principles we now understand. When their shields meet our inverter field, she paused, letting the implications sink in. Their own technology becomes their greatest weakness, General Zhang finished. Sarah nodded. Exactly. They're so confident in their technological superiority that they've built their entire military doctrine around these quantum shields. They haven't developed any other major defensive systems in millennia. Why would they? Nothing had ever penetrated their shields before. The council members exchanged looks. Humanity would only get one chance at this. If they revealed their hand too soon, or if the technology failed, Earth would be defenseless against the invasion force. How long? Williams asked. Sarah pulled up the latest tracking data. Based on their current positioning, they're planning to strike within the next 30 days. They're following the same pattern they've used to conquer other worlds, positioning their fleet in a standard containment formation while broadcasting demands for surrender. Then we have 30 days to complete the orbital network, Weber said. Can we do it? We have to, Sarah replied. Because they're not just coming to conquer us. From what we've decoded in their communications, they're planning to harvest Earth's population for genetic experiments. To them, we're not even sentient beings, we're lab specimens, The council chamber erupted in determined discussion as humanity's leaders planned their response. In orbit above them, disguised among thousands of pieces of space debris, the quantum resonance inverters continued their silent vigil. The Arcturians thought they were watching a primitive species prepare for slaughter. Instead, they were flying into the most sophisticated trap ever created by human hands. Sarah returned to her observatory that night, watching the distant flickers of alien ships moving through the outer solar system. Let them come, she thought. Let them bring their unbeatable shields and their absolute certainty. Humanity had spent its entire history overcoming impossible odds through innovation and determination. This would be no different. The Arcturians were about to learn a lesson that countless others throughout human history had learned too late. Never underestimate a species that had survived and thrived by outlasting everything that tried to kill it. Project Deadlight. Deep beneath the Atacama Desert, in a facility that officially didn't exist, Dr. James Rodriguez watched as the quantum resonance inverter powered up for its final test. The device, no larger than a household refrigerator, hummed with barely contained energy. Its true power lay not in its size, but in the fundamental laws of physics it was about to bend. Containment field stable, reported Dr. Yuki Tanaka from her monitoring station. Quantum matrix aligned at 99.8% efficiency. Her fingers danced across the holographic controls, making microscopic adjustments to the machine's settings. James nodded, his eyes fixed on the test chamber beyond the reinforced observation window. Inside, suspended in a magnetic field, floated a piece of salvaged alien technology, a shield generator recovered from the captured Arcturian probe. It was their last chance to verify that Project Deadlight would work against actual alien technology. "Begin sequence," he ordered, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. Humanity's future might well depend on what happened in the next few minutes. The inverter's hum deepened as it powered up, generating a field that would turn the aliens' most powerful defense into their greatest vulnerability. The theory was elegant in its simplicity. Instead of trying to break through the quantum shields, they would make the shields break themselves. "Field intensity at 25%, Yuki called out. First resonance point approaching. On the main display, complex quantum calculations scrolled past as the inverter began its work. The alien shield generator activated automatically in response, throwing up its supposedly impenetrable barrier. For a moment, the two fields existed in perfect opposition. Then something beautiful happened. The alien shield, designed to be unbreakable, began to ripple like water disturbed by raindrops. Where the inverter's field touched it, the quantum matrix began to fold in on itself, creating cascading failures that spread through the entire shield structure. Field collapse in 3, 2, 1. The shield generator exploded in a brilliant flash of light, its own energy turned inward by the inverter's precise manipulations. When the glow faded, nothing remained of the alien device but scattered molecules. The control room erupted in celebration, years of work finally validated. But James couldn't join in their joy just yet. He keyed his comm, connecting to the secure channel that linked Earth's hidden defense facilities. "Control, this is Deadlight Actual. Test sequence complete. Full success on alien tech. I repeat, full success." The response came immediately in Sarah Chen's voice. "Confirmed, Deadlight. Initiating final deployment sequence. The Arcturians just crossed Mars orbit. We have 6 days." James turned to his team, their celebrations quieting as they registered his expression. "Everyone," he announced, "this was just the dress rehearsal. Now we do it for real." The next 6 days passed in a blur of activity. Around the world, hidden facilities worked at maximum capacity to complete the orbital network of inverters. Each device had to be precisely calibrated and positioned to create an overlapping field that would cover the entire planet. The Arcturians made it easier by following their standard invasion playbook. Their ships moved into textbook perfect formation, creating a spherical containment field around Earth that would, in theory, prevent any escape. They had used the same tactics successfully against dozens of other civilizations. But this time, they were building their own cage. In the command center beneath Geneva, James joined Sarah and the other project leaders as they monitored the final preparations. The alien fleet was now close enough that their ships were visible to conventional telescopes, their massive forms blotting out the stars. "They're broadcasting," announced the communications officer. "Standard ultimatum. Demands for immediate surrender, threats of annihilation if we resist." The usual. Sarah's lip curled in disgust as she read the translation. "Listen to this. Your primitive species has been judged unworthy of independent existence. Submit to genetic processing for the greater glory of the Arcturian Dominion." They really do think we're just animals. "Final inverter in position," reported the orbital control officer. "Network synchronization at 100%. We're ready." James studied the tactical display, watching the alien ships settle into their final attack positions. Everything depended on timing now. The inverters would only get one shot. Their power cells would burn out after a single use, and the aliens would certainly destroy any they detected. "New transmission from the Arcturian command ship," the comm officer called out. They're laughing at our satellite network. They think we're trying to defend ourselves with primitive communications equipment." "Perfect," Sarah said quietly. "Let them laugh. General Zhang, are our conventional forces in position?" The general nodded from his station. "All units ready. As soon as their shields fall, we hit them with everything we have." The Arcturian ships began powering up their weapons, right on schedule. Their quantum shields shimmered into full power, creating what they believed to be an impenetrable barrier around their fleet. James took a deep breath, his hand hovering over the activation control. Humanity's moment of truth had arrived. "On my mark," he said, watching the power readings climb. 3, 2, 1. He pressed the button. Around the Earth, hundreds of disguised satellites simultaneously activated their quantum resonance inverters. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. The Arcturians' mighty shields, the technology they had relied upon for millennia, began to collapse in on themselves. The aliens never had a chance to understand what was happening. Their own shield energy, turned back against their ships by the inverter field, tore through their fleet like a tsunami. Ships began breaking apart, their quantum cores overloading as the cascade effect spread from vessel to vessel. "Multiple detonations detected," reported Tactical. 80% of their fleet. No, 90%. Their entire command structure is gone. On the main screen, the mighty Arcturian invasion force was dissolving into chaos. The few ships that survived the initial collapse found themselves facing the combined firepower of Earth's military forces, their invincible shields now nothing but atoms scattered across space. In less than 5 minutes, the battle that was supposed to end human civilization had instead destroyed the Arcturians' greatest fleet. Humanity had not just survived. They had turned the aliens' own arrogance into a weapon more powerful than any battleship. "Incoming transmission," the comm officer announced, surprise evident in his voice. "It's from the surviving Arcturian ships. They're surrendering. Unconditionally." Sarah and James shared a look of quiet triumph. Humanity had done more than win a battle. They had proved that innovation and determination could overcome any technological gap. The age of Earth being seen as a primitive backwater was over. The stars would never look quite the same again. Shockwaves. The Galactic Council's emergency session was something unprecedented in 10,000 years of recorded history. Representatives from 200 spacefaring civilizations gathered in their grand orbital chamber, their usual protocols and hierarchies forgotten in the wake of shocking news. The Arcturian Dominion, the undisputed military power of known space for millennia, had been defeated. By primitives. By humans. High Counselor Vexera of the Meridian Collective stood at the center of the chamber, their crystalline form reflecting the ambient light as they addressed the assembly. "The reports have been verified," they announced, their translator struggling to convey their mixture of disbelief and concern. The Arcturian invasion fleet was destroyed within minutes of engaging Earth's defenses. Their quantum shield technology, the cornerstone of their military supremacy, was turned against them through means we do not yet understand. Meanwhile, on Earth, Sarah Chen and James Rodriguez found themselves in an equally unprecedented situation, preparing for humanity's first official diplomatic contact with the wider galactic community. The United Earth Conference Hall in Singapore had been chosen for the historic meeting, its architecture a blend of human innovation and recently acquired alien technology. "They're terrified of us," Sarah remarked, reviewing the latest intelligence reports from their now functioning quantum communications array. "The entire galaxy is trying to figure out how a primitive species managed to defeat their boogeyman." James nodded, adjusting his formal uniform. "Fear can be dangerous. The last thing we need is the rest of the galaxy deciding we're too much of a threat to be allowed to exist. Which is exactly why this meeting has to go perfectly," Director Williams said, joining them at the observation window. Below, delegates from Earth's nations were taking their seats in the conference hall. "We need to show them that humanity can be a stabilizing force in the galaxy, not just another conquering power." The alien diplomatic delegation arrived precisely on schedule, their ships deliberately small and obviously unarmed, a sharp contrast to the Arcturian fleet's aggressive approach. Representatives from 12 of the galaxy's most influential civilizations had come to meet the species that had changed the balance of power overnight. As the aliens entered the conference hall, their diverse forms ranging from humanoid to utterly alien, Sarah couldn't help but notice their careful attempts to appear non-threatening. These were species that had looked down on humanity as primitives just days ago. Now they moved with the cautious respect usually reserved for unexploded ordnance. The lead diplomat, a tall being with iridescent scales, who introduced themselves as Ambassador Zix of the Concordiat, spoke first. "Honored representatives of Earth," they began, their translator rendering their harmonic speech into crisp English. "We come seeking understanding, and, if you are willing, friendship." Director Williams stepped forward to respond, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's unified response. "Earth welcomes the opportunity for peaceful dialogue. We defended ourselves against aggression, but our preference has always been for cooperation over conflict." "An admirable sentiment," Zix replied, their scales shifting in what Sarah's cultural briefing identified as a gesture of cautious optimism. "Yet you must understand our concern. The technology you demonstrated against the Arcturians represents a fundamental shift in the balance of power. Many worlds are asking, what are humanity's intentions?" James took this as his cue, activating the holographic display they had prepared. Above the conference table, a representation of the quantum resonance inverter appeared, with key elements carefully omitted. "What we created was a defensive technology," he explained, "a way to protect ourselves from those who would deny our right to exist. Nothing more." The alien delegates studied the display with their various sensory organs, many of them making gestures of astonishment as they grasped the elegant simplicity of the concept. "You didn't try to break their shields," one of them observed. "You made their shields break themselves." "Precisely," Sarah confirmed. "We had no interest in developing weapons of conquest. We simply wanted to ensure our survival." Ambassador Zix's scales rippled with what seemed to be genuine appreciation, and in doing so, you demonstrated something that many of us had forgotten. True innovation comes not from technological superiority, but from the drive to survive against overwhelming odds. The meeting continued for hours, covering everything from technology exchange protocols to cultural integration programs. But the underlying message was clear. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through brute force, but through ingenuity and determination. As the day drew to a close, Ambassador Zix made an unexpected proposal. "The Galactic Council has an immediate opening," they announced. "With the Arcturian dominions, reduced status, we find ourselves in need of new perspectives. Earth has demonstrated both the innovation and restraint that the galaxy needs in these changing times." The human delegates exchanged glances, A seat on the Galactic Council would give humanity a voice in shaping the future of known space. It was an opportunity no one had expected so soon. Director Williams smiled diplomatically. "We would be honored to discuss the possibility," he replied. "Though I suspect many on the council might need some time to adjust to the idea of working alongside primitives." Zix's translator rendered what could only be described as a chuckle. "After what you achieved with the Arcturians, I doubt anyone will be making that mistake again. Perhaps it is time for the galaxy to learn that true civilization is measured not by the age of one's technology, but by the wisdom with which it is used." As the alien delegates departed, Sarah stood at the window watching their ships rise into the evening sky. Earth had changed the galaxy in ways no one had anticipated, and this was just the beginning. The stars above were no longer distant points of light. They were destinations, filled with civilizations that would need to learn to coexist with humanity's unique approach to problem-solving. "Well," James said, joining her at the window, "I guess we're not primitives anymore." Sarah smiled. "We never were." The rest of the galaxy just needed a reminder that innovation doesn't always look like they expect it to. Above them, the first stars of evening appeared, twinkling with new possibility. Humanity had earned its place among them, not through conquest or technological superiority, but through the very qualities that had allowed them to survive and thrive on Earth. Adaptability, innovation, and the unwavering determination to forge their own path among the stars. The galaxy would never be the same. And that, perhaps, was exactly what it needed. New horizons. 1 year after Earth's historic defense against the Arcturian fleet, the Sol system had become an unlikely center of galactic innovation. The quantum resonance technology that had turned the tide of battle had opened doors to possibilities that even the oldest civilizations hadn't considered. Sarah Chen stood in the newly constructed Galactic Exchange Center on Luna, watching ships from dozens of civilizations dock at the orbital platforms above. Each vessel represented a different species coming to learn from the humans they had once dismissed as primitive. "Another breakthrough in the quantum labs," James announced, joining her at the observation dome. He handed her a datapad displaying results from their latest experiments. The Meridian scientists finally admitted that they've been approaching quantum mechanics all wrong for the past 1,000 years. Sarah studied the data with a smile. It's still strange to think about. All that advanced technology, and they never questioned their basic assumptions about how it worked. "That's exactly why they need us," came a harmonic voice behind them. Ambassador Zix had approached silently, their iridescent scales shifting in patterns that Sarah had learned to recognize as excitement. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't your technology. It's your inability to accept limitations." The Exchange Center exemplified this philosophy. In its vast laboratories, human scientists worked alongside alien researchers, combining Earth's innovative thinking with the advanced technology of older civilizations. The result had been revolutionary. "The Arcturians are requesting another meeting," Zix continued, their scales darkening slightly. "They wish to discuss collaboration." James raised an eyebrow. "That's unexpected. They'd been in isolation since their defeat." "Necessity is a powerful motivator," Sarah observed. "Their entire civilization was built around technology they no longer trust. They need to adapt or become irrelevant." The meeting was scheduled for the following day in the center's neutral conference chamber. The Arcturian representatives were noticeably different from the arrogant conquerors of a year ago. Their once ornate military uniforms had been replaced by simpler diplomatic attire. "We have been reevaluating our position," the Arcturian speaker began, their towering form seeming somehow diminished. "Our civilization's stagnation nearly led to our extinction. We seek to learn from those who proved wiser than us." Director Williams, now Earth's representative on the Galactic Council, maintained a diplomatic neutral expression. "Earth is open to peaceful collaboration, but you understand our need for certain assurances." The negotiations that followed would have been unthinkable just a year ago. The Arcturians, offering access to their vast technological archives, in exchange for human insights into innovation and adaptation. But the galaxy was changing, and even its oldest powers were learning to change with it. Meanwhile, in the center's development labs, the partnership between human ingenuity and alien technology was yielding unprecedented results. The quantum resonance principles that had defeated the Arcturian shields were being adapted for peaceful applications, revolutionary medical treatments, faster-than-light communication systems, and energy generation technologies that could power entire planets. It's not just about the technology, Sarah explained to a group of alien scientists during a presentation. It's about questioning everything, even what you think you know for certain. Especially what you think you know for certain. The concept was radical for many of the older species who had built their civilizations on careful adherence to established principles. But the results were undeniable. Projects that had been stalled for centuries were finding new life through human perspectives. "We've detected unusual activity at the galactic core," a young researcher named Kai Wong announced during one of their daily briefings. "The quantum scanning network is picking up something that shouldn't be possible according to conventional theories." The discovery sparked another round of collaboration. Species that had once competed now worked together, combining their knowledge with human theoretical frameworks. The mystery of the galactic core became a symbol of their new approach, not accepting limitations, not taking anything for granted. "This is what we hoped for," James said to Sarah as they watched teams from a dozen worlds work together in the main laboratory. Not just surviving in the galaxy, but helping it grow. The Galactic Exchange Center had become more than a symbol. It was a promise of what was possible when civilizations set aside their prejudices and worked together. Human adaptability and questioning nature, combined with the advanced technology and accumulated knowledge of older species, was opening doors that had been closed for millennia. But with these advances came new responsibilities. Earth's seat on the Galactic Council meant involvement in issues that affected billions of beings across thousands of worlds. The humans who had once looked up at the stars in wonder now found themselves helping to guide the future of galactic civilization. "There are reports of other emerging civilizations," Zix informed them during a private meeting. "Species approaching the technological threshold. The Council is divided on how to approach them." Sarah understood the implications immediately. They're afraid of finding another Earth, another species that might disrupt the established order. "Precisely," Zix confirmed, "which is why your voice on the Council is crucial. You understand both perspectives, the emerging civilization and the established powers." The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The species that had been dismissed as primitives was now helping to shape galactic policy on first contact and technological development. Humanity's experience had shown that dismissing a civilization as primitive was not just foolish, it was dangerous. "We're proposing a new approach," Director Williams announced at the next council session. "Instead of waiting for civilizations to reach an arbitrary technological threshold, we establish contact early. Guide them, learn from them, help them avoid the mistakes we all made." The proposal was controversial, but the results of the past year were hard to ignore. The collaboration between humans and established species had advanced galactic science and technology more than the previous 1,000 years of isolated development. As Sarah looked out at the Earth rising over the lunar horizon, she reflected on how far they had come. The quantum resonance technology that had saved Earth from invasion had opened the door, but it was humanity's approach to problem-solving and innovation that had truly changed the galaxy. The stars no longer represented distant points of light or potential threats. They were now partners in a grand collaboration, each civilization contributing its unique perspectives and abilities to a growing alliance of species united by curiosity and the desire to understand the universe around them. The primitives had become teachers, and the galaxy was better for it. Legacy. 5 years after Earth's defense against the Arcturian fleet, the galaxy had undergone changes that would once have been thought impossible. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, once a symbol of rigid hierarchy and ancient power, now hosted representatives from 30 newly contacted civilizations, each bringing fresh perspectives to galactic affairs. Sarah Chen, now Earth's chief ambassador for emerging civilizations, stood before the assembled representatives. The quantum hologram behind her showed a spiral galaxy slowly rotating, with hundreds of points of light marking worlds that had been transformed by the revolution in galactic thinking that humans had inadvertently started. The Promethean Initiative enters its third phase today, she announced, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. Another 50 developing civilizations have been identified for first contact, not as subjects to be judged, but as partners in our shared journey among the stars. The initiative, named after the mythological figure who gave fire to humanity, had been Earth's most significant contribution to galactic politics. The old approach of waiting for civilizations to achieve specific technological benchmarks had been replaced by active engagement and collaboration. James Rodriguez, leading the technical aspect of these contacts from his position as director of the Galactic Exchange Network, pulled up data on the latest successes. The Kithri, who we contacted just 2 years ago, have already contributed breakthrough insights in biosynthesis. The Novan theoretical mathematicians have helped solve computational problems that stumped our best quantum computers. The evidence was undeniable. Every civilization, no matter its technological level, had something valuable to contribute when given the chance. The quantum resonance technology that had once saved Earth had become almost a footnote in humanity's larger legacy, the fundamental reshaping of how galactic civilization approached progress itself. Ambassador Zix, now one of Earth's strongest allies in the Council, addressed the chamber next. When humans first demonstrated their quantum resonance technology, many feared they would become a destructive force in the galaxy. Instead, they showed us something far more powerful than any weapon: the power of unlimited thinking. In the years since first contact, human approaches to problem-solving had spread throughout galactic civilization. The rigid hierarchies and assumptions that had held back progress for millennia were being questioned and reformed. The result was an unprecedented era of discovery and advancement. The Academy has confirmed another breakthrough. Kai Wang, now chief of Sino-Scientific Research, announced during the session. The galactic core anomaly we detected years ago. It's not just unusual activity. It's evidence of artificial construction on a scale we never imagined possible. The discovery highlighted how far they had come. 5 years ago, such a finding would have been dismissed as impossible by the established powers. Now, it was seen as a challenge to be understood, a mystery to be solved through collaboration between species old and new. The Arcturians, once the galaxy's greatest military power, had found a new role as pioneers in cultural exchange. Their vast archives of technological knowledge, combined with their hard-learned lessons about the dangers of stagnation, made them invaluable partners in guiding newly contacted civilizations. We were wrong, the Arcturian speaker admitted during their address to the Council. Not just about humans, but about the nature of civilization itself. True advancement comes not from power or age, but from the constant willingness to learn and change. In the laboratories and research centers that now span the galaxy, species that would once have never interacted worked side by side. The quantum resonance principles that Earth had discovered were being applied in ways that even their inventors hadn't imagined, leading to technologies that benefited all civilizations. But perhaps the most profound change was in how the galaxy viewed itself. The old hierarchies of advanced and primitive species have been replaced by an understanding that every civilization, every species, had unique contributions to make to the greater whole. We've received the first transmissions from the Helios cluster, Sarah announced toward the end of the session. 3 previously unknown civilizations, all approaching technological sophistication in their own unique ways. Under the old system, we would have watched and waited, judging their worthiness. Instead, we'll be sending a first contact team next month. The chamber erupted in discussions as representatives debated who would join the contact mission. The opportunity to witness and assist in the emergence of new civilizations into the galactic community had become one of the most sought-after diplomatic assignments. Later, as the session concluded, Sarah and James stood in the observation dome, watching ships from dozens of worlds moving through the complex dance of orbital traffic. Each vessel represented a different species, a different approach to understanding the universe, all working together in ways that would have seemed impossible just 5 years ago. "Did you ever imagine this?" James asked, gesturing at the spectacular view. "When we were working on the quantum resonance project, did you think it would lead here?" Sarah smiled, remembering those tense days when they had worked desperately to defend Earth from what had seemed an invincible enemy. "We were just trying to survive. But maybe that's the point. Survival isn't just about defense or technology. It's about adaptation, collaboration, growing beyond what you thought was possible." Beyond the dome, the galaxy stretched out in all its infinite possibility. Somewhere out there, new civilizations were taking their first steps into a larger universe. Thanks to humanity's influence, they would find not judgment or conquest waiting for them, but partnership and opportunity. The primitives who had dared to dream beyond their limitations had changed more than just the balance of power. They had changed the very nature of galactic civilization itself. And in doing so, they had ensured that the galaxy's future would be brighter than anyone had imagined possible. "There's a ship leaving for the Helios cluster tomorrow," Sarah said, turning to James with a familiar glint in her eye. "Want to go help some new civilizations surprise the galaxy?" James grinned. Some things hadn't changed. Humanity's desire to explore, to push boundaries, to find new ways forward. That spirit had saved Earth, and now it was transforming the galaxy, one world at a time. The stars beckoned, not as distant points of light, but as billions of opportunities to learn, to grow, to collaborate. Humanity had found its place among them, not by conquering or dominating, but by demonstrating that the greatest power in the universe was the willingness to question, to adapt, and to grow beyond perceived limitations. The future was unlimited, and they were just getting started.